I wonder how many people I've looked at all my life and never seen. Maybe everybody in the whole damn world is scared of each other. I believe a strong woman may be stronger than a man, particularly if she happens to have love in her heart. I guess a loving woman is indestructible. There ain't no sin and there ain't no virtue. There's just stuff people do. It's so much darker when a light goes out than it would have been if it had never shone. I got you to look after me, and you got me to look after you, and that's why. What good is the warmth of summer without the cold of winter to give it sweetness? And the little screaming fact that sounds through all history, repression works only to strengthen and knit the repressed. Ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple and learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you have a dozen. When two people meet, each one is changed by the other, so you've got two new people. As happens sometimes, a moment settled and hovered and remained for much more than a moment. And sound stopped and movement stopped for much, much more than a moment. Sometimes a man wants to be stupid if it lets him do a thing his cleverness forbids. No man really knows about other human beings. The best he can do is to suppose that they are like himself. It would be absurd if we did not understand both angels and devils, since we invented them. Power does not corrupt. Fear corrupts, perhaps the fear of a loss of power. If you're in trouble, or hurt or need, go to the poor people. They're the only ones that'll help, the only ones. I shall revenge myself in the cruelest way you can imagine. I shall forget it. Don't worry about losing. If it is right, it happens. The main thing is not to hurry. Nothing good gets away. When a man says he does not want to speak of something, he usually means he can think of nothing else. People who are most afraid of their dreams convince themselves they don't dream at all. It's awful not to be loved. It's the worst thing in the world. It makes you mean, and violent, and cruel. You know how advice is, you only want it if it agrees with what you wanted to do anyways. How can we live without our lives? How will we know it's us without our past? The quality of owning freezes you forever in I, and cuts you off forever from the we. I am happy to report that in the war between reality and romance, reality is not the stronger. Guy don't need no sense to be a nice fella. Seems to me sometimes it just works the other way around. Take a real smart guy and he ain't hardly ever a nice fella. I guess I'm trying to say, grab anything that goes by. It may not come around again. His ear heard more than what was said to him, and his slow speech had overtones not of thought, but of understanding beyond thought. Maybe love makes you suspicious and doubting. Is it true that when you love a woman you are never sure of her because you aren't sure of yourself? Remember that the most beautiful things in the world are the most useless, peacocks and lilies for instance. Up ahead they's 1,000 lives we might live, but when it comes it'll only be one. There are as many worlds as there are kinds of days, and as an opal changes its colors and its fire to match the nature of a day, so do I. If a story is not about the hearer, he will not listen. And here I make a rule. A great and interesting story is about everyone or it will not last. So many old and lovely things are stored in the world's attic because we don't want them around us and we don't dare throw them out. Farewell has a sweet sound of reluctance. Goodbye is short and final, a word with teeth sharp to bite through the string that ties past to the future. No story has power, nor will it last, unless we feel in ourselves that it is true and true of us. It is one of the triumphs of the human that he can know a thing and still not believe it. What a frightening thing is the human, a mass of gauges and dials and registers, and we can only read a few, and those perhaps not accurately. I've seen a look in dogs' eyes, a quickly vanishing look of amazed contempt, and I am convinced that basically dogs think humans are nuts. Don't you love Jesus? Well, I thought and finally I says, no, I don't know nobody named Jesus. I know a bunch of stories, but I only love people. Our people are good people, our people are kind people. Pray God someday kind people won't all be poor. It is the hour of pearl, the interval between day and night when time stops and examines itself. And, of course, people are interested only in themselves. If a story is not about the hearer, he will not listen. Ain't many guys travel around together, he mused. I don't know why. Maybe everybody in the whole damn world is scared of each other. Sometimes, a lie is told in kindness. I don't believe it ever works kindly. The quick pain of truth can pass away, but the slow, eating agony of a lie is never lost. The free exploring mind of the individual human is the most valuable thing in the world. But you must give him some sign that you love him, or he'll never be a man. All his life he'll feel guilty and alone unless you release him. You can boast about anything if it's all you have. Maybe the less you have, the more you are required to boast. He had an idea that even when beaten he could steal a little victory by laughing at defeat. Perhaps the best conversationalist in the world is the man who helps others to talk. In poverty she is envious. In riches she may be a snob. Money does not change the sickness, only the symptoms. Failure is a state of mind. It's like one of those sand traps an antlion digs. You keep sliding back. Takes one hell of a jump to get out of it. Well, every little boy thinks he invented sin. Virtue we think we learn, because we are told about it. But sin is our own designing. I find out of long experience that I admire all nations and hate all governments. Maybe the hardest thing in writing is simply to tell the truth about things as we see them. When you're a child, you're the center of everything. Everything happens for you. Other people? They're only ghosts furnished for you to talk to. And this you can know, fear the time when man's self will not suffer and die for a concept, for this one quality is man, distinctive in the universe. I ought to have shot that dog myself, George. I shouldn't ought to have let no stranger shoot my dog. He learned that when people are very poor they still have something to give and the impulse to give it. You are one of the rare people who can separate your observation from your preconception. You see what is, where most people see what they expect. And finally, in our time a beard is the one thing that a woman cannot do better than a man, or if she can her success is assured only in a circle.